the invisible world and whether there's aliens. We have a toilet paper company. This is way more breaking news that they know the softness of the celestial world because they got a product called Angel Soft. And I'm not making fun of them. I'm just saying, how did you get that information? I had been on vacation. We come in and Missy fixed a shrimp bisque, and my mom loves that dish. So I was like, I hadn't seen her in a while. And I was like, I'm going to take her a bowl of this. And it actually made me think of the book of James because I've been just studying it for the last week every day. But when I saw another car there, and I thought, she's got visitors. And it was just a young couple. I say young. They're younger than me, but not young, who were just visiting with her and had brought her supper. So we put the shrimp bisque in the refrigerator. But I walked in, and the fact that I had that shrimp bisque led to her saying, "Oh, here's my favorite son." I've noticed now if you have a meal in your hand, you will now be deemed the favorite son. But
There's no doubt.
But she's doing great. But what's funny is, as soon as I walked in, and she's like, look, my friends are here, and there's the woman that stays with her, and so it was a little crowd. She's like, "We're ready for our sermon." And I looked around like behind me because I thought, "Oh, you talking about from me? You want to hear a sermon?" And she's like, "Well, I forget stuff now that I'm at my age. And so you can just tell me one you've already told me because I'll hear it for the first time," which I thought the fact that she's recognizing this, because we're all recognizing it and having fun with it. And so I had something that had just happened, and that confrontation made me think about random encounters where you just share Jesus and all of a sudden you get such a beautiful story. But our old friend Mcintosh sent me a text right before I had left up there to visit my mom, and it was just a picture of a tape measure. Now he's somewhere in Texas. He's moved off, with his wife, and he infamously was the only person that I accidentally got involved with him coming to Jesus. And the reason I say accidentally, he accidentally heard the message of Jesus.
Yeah.
And we've shared that story before. I don't think we've ever had him on the podcast, have we?
We haven't. Well, we should, because we had Blake
should
on
hear this.
hear
this story. So I'm going back 25, 30 years. I was sharing Jesus with my friends, and what happened is where they were all hanging out, which was the equivalent of a frat house, cutting up, we had brought the guy who owned it to the Lord. And so we were having a study with another friend at this, I'm deeming it a frat house, I don't know how, because people, their buddies were just showing up to cut up. Well, in Walt Macintosh, he looked around. We're having a Bible study. He's like, "What's going on here?" It's like, "Having a Bible study. Have a seat. We're going to share something with you." He's like, "Not interested." And so he just walked through the house, forgot about him, never thought about it again. We shared Jesus with this other fella. He didn't respond, didn't have a good attitude about the study. So I get up to leave. It was on a Wednesday night, and we had Wednesday night church. Well, Mcintosh comes out of his room, and he's like, "I'm ready." And I'm like, "Ready for what?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm ready to give my life to the Lord." I was like, "Well, I thought you didn't want to hear about it." He's like, "Well, I overheard it in the other room, and I'm ready." I was like, "Well, this can't be true." I was like, "Well, oh, really?" I was almost sarcastically like saying, "Yeah, what's the joke here?" Which, he became one of my best friends, and he's so non-confrontational. So for him to even do this was a big step for him. But I didn't know the guy. Oh, he rattled off what I had just said. I mean, he went through the gospel, and he's like, "Never heard that. I want in on this." And so he just followed me to the church building, and we baptized him. And 30 years later, he sent me this text. It was what I found funny, because he heard us talk about this on the podcast, speaking of old material, because he knows how it irks me so much. And this ties in with the book of James, the reason I'm bringing it up. about how these companies who are trying to make money use godlike qualities or something in the name of God to sell their product. And y'all have all heard me do this bit. And I did it for my mom yesterday because I had just gotten this text. And so I went in with the Angel Soft toilet paper and now how did this company, or wherever they're from, figure out the softness of celestial beings? Speaking of, the invisible world and whether there's aliens, we have a toilet paper company. This is way more breaking news that they know the softness of the celestial world because they got a product called Angel Soft. And I'm not making fun of them. I'm just saying, how did you get that information? So then their competitor, Charmin, comes up with the eternal roll of toilet paper because this is their competitor, eternal roll. Small letters and I have one. Somebody sent it in the mail to my house. I have it on my keepsake and sentimental things.
And what did somebody tell us, Jase? In small letters, it says actually 1 month supply or something like that.
No, it says it will last up to a month.
Eternal roll.
So I tell you all that. I mean, I got plenty of information and data to support this from Oprah Winfrey having hope in a jar. There's never been a jar that produced hope. But it's a selling point.
What about Forever 21? There's another one.
Now look, and they did it. I found out they were followers of Jesus. So they were doing it as a way, but I'm like, you can't name your company that and then go bankrupt.
You just became a hypocrite.
So look, I set all that up to say he sends me the text, which is why I launched into said sermon for my mom and guests. He sent me a picture without explanation, which was funny. And I'm looking, and it's Macintosh's hand, just his hand, and he has a box in his hand. And it's a picture of a tape measure. And guess what it says? The Almighty Ruler.
Oh.
So when I first looked at it, I thought, why would he send me that? And then I thought, oh, the Almighty Ruler? Really? I bet this costs a lot. And I looked it up, $60 to $80. It's a tape measure. And I thought about my dad in that moment. I thought, you can take a tape measure, which should cost you what, $14.99?
Yeah.
You put the Almighty Ruler, and you think, ooh. But that's just what our culture does. And this will make sense when you read the book of James, because there's a lot about money and being rich and not being rich, and this leading a double life and how all that works. And so I showed her that. And, of course, she was like, I don't get it. I was like, you don't get it. They're selling a tape measure that just tells you something that we made up as humans to measure things, but they're calling it the Almighty Ruler. I said, you know why they're calling it the Almighty Ruler? She said, why? I said, because it'll cost you about $80.
A little bit more for the Almighty, that's right. But a lot of you ask about her. She is doing amazing. Her countenance and her attitude have been fantastic. And I got to give a shout out to our church family, because you mentioned that about people being there. Like, there are people that come by all the time from our church community, some of her good friends, and man, that makes a big difference. So just
exactly,
you need that in your community.
And the reason I share that story is even like Macintosh, he heard me do a bit about that, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. Mm-hmm. And I think these kind of things are great conversation starters with people that are around. You don't realize, we think the whole world doesn't believe in God, and which you see that. We live in an evil world. But I tell you what, when they're trying to make money, they'll use those principles to try to sell their product, which is so double-minded, but it's great for conversations, and it would be bad for you to do that, to be on that end of it.